Welcome to The Fight Show on Sports Tonight Live with me, Don McGuinness, alongside me, Danny Flexen, Deputy Editor of Fighting Fit magazine. I'm delighted to say as well that we have two fine fellas in the studio with us tonight, Chris the Fash Evangelou and Erick the Eagle Ochieng, and both looking extremely resplendent in their attire.
Thank you. Thank you.
Me and Danny just can't quite match up, embarrassed to say. But anyway, I'll start with you, obviously, Dan. It's a big week, busy week for you. What's been going on?
Oh, this, that and the other really. I think everyone's talking about David Price, Tyson Fury. I've been caught up in a bit of that on Twitter as well. Obviously, purse bids were supposed to be announced, I think, this week for the fight, but we found out that Fury had vacated British and Commonwealth titles, as a few people had predicted he might. Not necessarily just to avoid the fight, but more to avoid the fight taking place on a channel other than the broadcaster his promoter is contracted to. If you can make sense of that, it's a bit convoluted, but it's another example of the boxing business today. Unfortunately, it's not just America that has these problems.
Well, we're going to be here from the camps, hopefully anyway, on that one. But you know, an interesting situation, if you like. I mean, we've heard a lot about Price and Fury, and from your point of view, Chris, I mean, it's a disappointment, I suppose, from fans. But is it too early in the saga that could be Price Fury?
Well, there's always the build-up that people want to see, and sometimes fights are premature. You want to get it when it's ripe, and maybe it is a bit too premature for them to fight. But there's two sides of the story. For the spectators, it's a big shame because they want to see that fight happening. But as a boxer, I can understand why they wouldn't want to get it on now and not rather later.
You look at these two guys, Erick, fantastic specimens, great boxers, great potential, great futures, both of them. They had great amateur careers as well. They met there, Price came out on top. How would you see it going, theoretically, because we're going to have to wait, if they were to meet now at this stage?
I mean, I think, obviously, the more we wait, probably hopefully it won't take too long, will be the better, because it will take time to build up. People want to see it more. Like we're waiting for Mayweather Pacquiao, hopefully it will happen sooner. So I think it will be much better if the fight later on than sooner, in my opinion.
I mean, I think we've been spoilt to an extent. Last year we got Mitchell Murray, Groves de Gaulle, amongst other great domestic fights. I think we've come to expect it now. So when things like this fall through and it looks like Barker, Martin Murray's not going to happen anytime soon either, we kind of feel robbed. But generally these prospects from different camps don't fight each other. It does take time to build up until both of them have got something to gain from it. Yeah. These problems aren't anything new, but we had such a great year for domestic rivalries last year. I think we've come to expect maybe a little too much.
I think that when you look at this and you talk about the domestic rivalries, and you mentioned there Groves de Gaulle, which was one that was talked about. Was that too soon in both fighters' development? But we've got a good fight. We're going to see another one. So does it really matter? I mean, they could fight now and fight again.
I think the difference is that in their weight class and the type of fight it was always going to be, it was never going to end in a brutal knockout either way. A lot of people favoured de Gaulle beforehand. Groves proved them wrong. But Fury against Price, both big punchers, both heavyweights. One of them gets knocked out in a round, that could spell the end of their career, or at least put it back for a few years, and then they have to rebuild. I don't think anyone wants that, and I think if they're going to take that risk, either Frank Maloney on one side and Mick Hennessy on the other, they want to make sure that fight ends up on their TV channel and they gain the most revenue and publicity out of it, because just in case their guy does lose, they want to maximise their potential right now.
I'd say just one point there. I think you're right. I think the thing is, though, that is the problem in itself, is that taking the risks now in boxing to get that one loss is such a drop down. You win. It's one step forward at a time. You have one loss and it can pull you back quite far, and that in itself can be the problem. And that is why promoters don't want to take that risk, especially too soon, unless the money is very right.
Well, there's always a beneficiary when a situation like this develops, and that could well be Sam Sexton. And we're joined now by his trainer on the line, Graham Everett. And of course, Sam presents an opportunity for him, obviously, the vacant British and Commonwealth belts. And I'm sure from your point of view, Graham, you're delighted with the opportunity to fight David Price.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity for us. One we're looking forward to, and we'll give it everything we got.
I mean, Graham, obviously you've been the beneficiary of this situation, as Dom said, but what do you think about the fight between Fury and Price not coming together in the first place? Can you understand both sides?
Yeah, I can. I mean, it's a business. It's also a pity, but like I say, that was destined to happen, I believe. I mean, probably Fury's got another attack. He's got something else how the situation is. Title fight very shortly, I really don't know, but that's their business. But to be honest with you, that's good for us. You know, we're well happy with the situation.
Is there any time scale on this, Graham? Have you got a date in mind? And if so, how is it all shaping up with Sam, training, etc.?
Well, the thing is, Sam did box in January, so he's in shape anyway. He trained all through Christmas, trained really hard. The ironic thing is we very nearly sparred with David Price. That nearly happened, but you know, that'd have been a bit of a strange one. But we haven't actually been given a timescale, but as far as I know, that's going to purse bids, short-term purse bids next week. So obviously, depending on who win the purse bids, that will dictate when the fight will be. But we'll be ready.
When you talked about sparring, Graham, obviously Price is going to be by far the tallest fighter that Sam's ever fought. Any idea who you'd get in to kind of replicate that? Would Fury even be an option?
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. You know, you've got to look for 6'8" people around that, around that mark somewhere. Maybe Tom Dallas, and there's a few others about. You know, it's just one of them situations. Hopefully, there's people out there who are prepared to spar with us. You know, which I'm sure there will be.
With Sam, I mean, what's the idea for you now? This obviously is a great opportunity. He's had setbacks with the Chisora fights, but other than that, you know, he's got a very good, healthy record. Is it somehow kind of, are we too dismissive of the British heavyweight scene when Sam doesn't get mentioned in the same breath as Price, Fury, Chisora?
Well, I think after Sam lost to Chisora, I think he was very forgotten about. You know, he had the 2 good wins against Rogan. Then he lost to Del Boy, which was a lot better fight than what people, you know, maybe got credit for. But he did have a lot of personal problems. But, you know, that was then, this is now, and he's a fresh young heavyweight, and this is his 4th big title fight. You know, he's still only 27. It's a fantastic opportunity for him, which he's absolutely delighted with. We're all delighted with the situation. We know how good David Price is. We know he can punch. We know he can box. You know, so we're against the best, but that's what it's all about. We're ready to go.
I mean, obviously, Price has been knocking people out in a round just recently, and hasn't gone that many rounds in total for his short career thus far. Sam's a proven championship-level performer. He's gone into the later rounds. Do you think that'll have an impact on the fight? You know, the stamina and the conditioning.
Let's hope so. You know listen, we've just got to prepare ourselves for the best, have a good game plan, you know, game plan A and B, and, you know, just get ourselves ready. You know, I do believe there isn't always a great deal learned in 1-2 round wins that tells you can punch, but, you know, so you're going to have to go in the trenches at some time, and, you know, hopefully that will happen, you know.
Graham, thank you very much indeed for your time and giving us a bit of insight into the developments. But again, you know, Frank Maloney has been incredibly angry about the whole situation, it would seem, by some of his Twitter comments and everything else. I mean, reading between the lines, where does the blame lie, if there is a blame attached to this? As fight fans, I mean, we all understand the reasons why the fight hasn't. If you know, he wants to throw blame all over the place, where does the blame lie?
I think if Frank Maloney can say that he was willing to pay his man more than £100,000 to box Tyson Fury, which is what they rejected from Mick Hennessy, Fury's promoter, then he can apportion blame to Hennessy and other people. I mean, he said that he expected the purse bids to come out, you know, it's a 60-40 split between champion and challenger because it's a mandatory defence. And he expected the purse bids to come out in a way that he would be paid, his man would be paid over that money, which means we're talking about a £250,000 purse bid, which is possible. You know, British title fights have gone for more than that in the recent past, but, you know, he can't know for certain that that was going to happen unless his bid was more than that. So it's hard to say. I mean, yeah, Channel 5 might have put the thumbscrews on Mick Hennessy and said, look, Tyson Fury is an integral part of your deal with us. If you want this to continue, we want that fight on our channel. We won't accept it going to Sky. In which case, Mick Hennessy offered a huge amount of money to make that happen. Couldn't happen. And he thought, well, I can't risk it going to Sky. So he's vacated it. I think what we need to keep in mind is, it's not the fighters here. There's no way Tyson Fury would have said, I'm not fighting David Price, he's too good. And vice versa. It's all about the promoters and the TV deals. The fighters themselves will always want to fight.
Can I just vouch for that? Because this is a lot of gibberish to me, because I don't deal with any of my business. I fight, I train, and I'm sure Eric does as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I let my managers and my, you know, my promoter deal with who I'm going to be fighting. I'm prepared to beat whoever put in front of me.
Yeah, I mean, as amateurs, I had, 40, however many fights, and I didn't know who my opponent was until I stepped into the ring. So I couldn't turn down a fight. I just got in the ring and fought. It was my coach who match-made me, and I just took the fight. Now it's my manager and my promoter. I don't care who it is. I don't care really what the money is. I just want to have the fight, and I want to be a success. So I wouldn't blame the fighters, to be honest. I think it's the business that has made us suffer to not watch this fight now.
And that's why it's a shame to see press releases coming out from Maloney's office calling Fury a chicken.
A chicken, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, yeah, maybe call Mick Hennessy a chicken, say you're not willing to risk, or whisk, maybe, depending on how the fight goes. You're not willing to risk your prize asset fighting my man, but you can't call the fighter a chicken, because there's no way he would have made that claim. You know, people out there think they're smart and say, well, if a fighter really wants a fight, he'll go to his manager and he'll demand it. We're in a business. Fighters, promoters got exclusive contracts with different TV companies.
Exactly.
It's not that simple. You can't go to your promoter and say, make that fight or else.
You can ask, but your promoter can say, just go back to training, let me deal with it.
So how does it work then in a situation when you have David Hay, who was handling his own affairs? By that's certainly what we were seeing.
He's an exception, isn't he? He's manager, boxer, isn't he? It is up to him who he fights because he has the 100% of the say. You know, it's better for him because he gets 100% of the purse, but you know, he's the one with the decisions. Like, he's an exception.
But then from a sporting perspective, you could argue maybe that wasn't the best way to go about it, because if he had someone dealing with all his business affairs and he was able to focus purely on fighting, sparring and getting ready, maybe he'd have been even more successful than he was when it came to the big fights. Maybe you need that kind of focus and you need other people to take away all the hassle from you.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that because obviously preparing for a fight, it takes a lot of time training, sparring, and you know, these small issues. And I mean, even I'm talking about selling tickets. Even selling tickets can become a distraction. So becoming managing your own self is a big distraction to any fighter.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that.
I suppose there's some people want the distraction. You could put it that way. You know, if you are just eating, sleeping, training, if there are hours in the day that you are to loose end, and it starts preying on your mind. So mentally, it can work in your favour.
True. The thing is, with saying with that, I never play Fight Night on my Xbox. I've got it, I never play it because I come home from training. I don't want to work. I don't want to sit there and box. I want to. I want to watch TV, watch Friends or something, just take my mind off boxing. And that is true, it is a distraction as well, which some distractions are beneficial.
Can you fill your time okay when you're focused on a fight?
Yeah, definitely. Actually my last fight, I was totally focused. I was worried about the tickets. I got a good team behind me now. Because, when I lost my first fight that I lost against Luke Robinson, I was running around selling tickets. Like, people was calling me the other fight, where's the venue? So my mind wasn't in the fight because you have to be 110% focused in the fight. And
Hey, what do you do to pass the time when you don't want to think about boxing? What do you do? Do you have a hobby?
I just, I like reading. I spend time reading different books and, watch movies, just, chilling now.
I'll tell you something about Eric, because people might not know
you
this.
should be in this chair.
I'll tell you something about Eric. Me and Eric go quite far back. No one knew this when we were called for the show. I was told very late notice, and me and Eric have actually known each other for about 7 years now. And we were in the same camp together, Haringey Boxing Club in Tottenham, and we used to travel around Europe. And every time we'd win a fight or, the team would win, we'd want to go out. And the only one that never came out was Eric, because he'd be sitting in his room reading and relaxing. He read a lot of the Bible. And, it was a testimony to us and an inspiration, really, because it showed us that even after he won, he was just relaxed. And
But did it stop you going out?
That's what it is.
You went out anyway.
Eric a great lad, come on.
Let's leave him to it.
Crazy.
I love that, I just love reading, I'm a reader and, as you say, I read my Bible, different kind of books, motivation books, inspiration, and that's my way of relaxing. Some people, the way of relaxing will be going out clubbing,
getting drunk.
We'll get a little bit in depth with both of you two fellas.
Okay,
we're just
not on clubbing and getting drunk.
We're going to be crossing as well a little bit later up to Sheffield to hear from the Ingle camp and Kid Galahad. who's got an interesting fight coming up as well. And we'll be hearing from Billy Nelson. So don't go away. This is The Fight Show right here on Sports Tonight Live. Welcome back. This is The Fight Show here on Sports Tonight Live with me, Don McGuinness, Danny Flexen, as ever in the studio, Eric the Eagle Ochieng, and Chris the Flash Evangelou. And we're going to stick with the heavyweight thing for just a few seconds because all the talk about Fury and Price and the hype that has surrounded that potential fight. There's a chap down in New Zealand that's been getting a few headlines as well, Sonny Bill Williams, who's an all-black World Cup rugby winner. Fantastic rugby player, fine specimen of a man who's in his spare time, we talked about spare time before, what he does when he's not playing rugby, he likes to box. You know, it's really caught the attention, as you would imagine, of the New Zealand public, because this is a legend, a fantastic rugby player. You know, it is a bit like Wayne Rooney boxing in his spare time, which isn't an altogether absurd idea, is it? Yeah. But it's a similar thing. He's that big a name, and he boxes, and he's had a good few fights now, and his latest one against an American chap, called Clarence Tillman. So let's just have a look at this, and I want your opinion on what you think.
Is he down when he's delivering those shots? Good left. Oh my God, Sonny Bill Williams. Good right. Good combination with SPW. And he's got Tillman. Is he going to go down the first round? Has Sonny Bill arrived as a boxer? Wow. And Tillman looks like it's all over. I cannot believe it. Clarence Tillman caught by the left hook. Sonny Bill Williams. He turned his back.
Wow.
Your opinion, chaps. I'm not quite sure how good Clarence was.
Yeah, really good. That was good. You know, probably not the best technical fighter, but that he's got a strong right hand, definitely. I'm very impressed, to be honest.
But he could have caught a cold with the draft.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, he looks good. Obviously, we need to, put him there with more polished fighter. Then we will see. We'll tell what he's made of.
And how about yourselves? Any other sports in your life?
You know, I'm interested in football. I like my football, but I'm not allowed to play it. My manager says, you choose. You know, there's so many injuries in football that I can't risk.
You're a big Liverpool fan, aren't you?
I'm an Arsenal fan.
My mistake.
But yeah. But yeah, Eric, what do you do?
I mean, to be honest, sometimes I don't watch football that much anymore. I mean, I used to do athletics, weightlifting. I was a lot in sport. Actually, my background is very sportive background. My dad and my mum used to play international handball. That's in Kenya. Okay. It's well known in Europe, but not UK. But yeah, so my background is a lot sportive. I used to do 400 meters, and it was hard for me to decide which one to do, football or athletics or boxing, And I remember one time I went to Tottenham Spurs, and I was like, excuse me, I want to join the team. Say, no, it don't work that way. You got to keep playing, and someone say you're
someone
good.
running, knocking people out.
So I just, what, I'll go to the gym. So, just focus on boxing. Once and then I watch football.
So you went to visit Tottenham, and
Yeah.
you didn't take up football.
Yeah.
Coincidence? I think not.
Are they your team now anyway?
No, Arsenal.
You got Gooners on.
I'm surrounded.
Oh,
surrounded
wow.
by the Gooner Massive, Liverpool.
Oh, there you go.
So I was trying to encourage you to switch
sorry.
your allegiance.
Moving swiftly on.
Yeah, let's not start a
So
war.
the Olympics, you'll be interested then? Handball and everything else
And
with
the
your
400
athletics
metres.
background?
It's going to be great. I mean, I want to go, but it's like, I don't know where to go. It's like the 100 meters, or the, I don't know yet. But it's going to be great. I'm going to be watching, and
You're lucky you've got a choice.
I was going to say. 100
Yeah,
metres.
and Team GB expected to do pretty well. All eyes will be on the boxing as well, of course.
Yeah, they should be doing great. I believe there's a lot of boxers going, for the Olympic. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
I know you get a lot of support, obviously, from Kenya as well. How big a deal is it now with your career and how you're progressing? We'll have a quick word about the Quigley fight in a minute, but
awesome.
in terms of how much notice in Kenya, and just tell us a bit more about your background and of your Kenyan roots, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, as a Kenyan born, I've a lot of follow now. I mean, first of all, my last fight, I believe it's going to be shown in Kenya. Actually, some people saw it in Kenya, and is like people want to see me more. I mean, and the support, the group, you know what I'm saying, the fan base is growing. I mean, as I was born in Kenya, came to UK when I was 12, and as I say before, I was in, my background is sportive background, and I did be boxing when I was young in Kenya, but it was just being around the environment because one of my uncle, Nicodemus, he won a bronze medal in 1990 Commonwealth. So sport is in my blood. You know, if I wasn't doing boxing, you'd have seen me in 400 meters athletics or, you know, tackling Wayne Rooney.
As a Kenyan, isn't 400 meters about like 2,600 meters too short? At least.
Actually, yeah. I mean, Kenyans, you know what I'm saying, they run the long distance. For me, I find that 400 meters, you know, as a young person, I used to like to fight.
You're a lowland Kenyan though, in terms of, you know, it's kind of different with the mountain runners and everything else. It's
no, I was raised in the city. Nairobi is one of the city. I was out in the country, you know. So I won't say I'm a long distance runner. I'm a short 400 meters sprinter. I did 300 meters once. I did 200 meters. So I'm a short distance runner.
Yeah. Chris, other sports?
Yeah.
You mentioned that you're a football fan.
Yeah, I like my football. But, you know, just other sports, again, I'm a professional boxer and it's very hard to do other sports because in case of injuries,
when did you focus, though, on what age?
Well,
when you...
before I was a boxer, I used to be an actor. And, you know, that was a big passion of mine. I used to have a little Oscar Awards replica and I used to pretend I won the Oscar Awards. This is when I was like in my early teens. And it came to a stage when I was about 17 when I had to say to myself, what do I want to do? Do I want to be a boxer or do I want to be an actor? Boxing's a young man's sport. I can always go back into my acting. So I chose boxing. 18, I had my first amateur fight, which was quite late, but I was full-time, 3 hours a day boxing. I was a professional amateur. That's how I like to think of it. And that was just from there, really. Just carried on, just pure boxing. Stopped football, yeah.
We all want to know what stuff were you in?
No, well, I was a pedigree actor, as they like to say. You know, I was more into theatre. I studied acting because I wanted to do film. I wanted to go to RADA and do it the proper way. Like if I do anything, it has to be 100%. You know, I'm a boxer. I go to LA and I train at the wild card. You know, I do everything 100%. I don't like, you know, 50, 60% just, you know, getting by. I'm not a jobs worth person. I never have been. So if I was an actor, I would have done it the proper way and been a pedigree, you know, top class actor.
There is, and has been through time, a lot of comparisons, obviously, with boxing and acting. It seems that a lot of actors are obsessed with boxing.
They are. Mickey Rourke and all these people.
Mickey Rourke, obviously, Joe Calzaghe's having a crack at it now, isn't he?
Yeah, something like that. David Hay wants to be Conan.
There's often been that anyway. The two worlds do collide, don't they? You only have to look at ringside in Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. They do. They are, you know, was it Jack Nicholson is always at every big fight. But you know, that's the thing that boxers do tend to pick up, especially after boxing, because they do have to retire quite young, you know, relatively young compared to the average person. So they need to fill their time up. But you can't. It's very hard to act and box at the same time. It's very hard to do anything and box at the same time if you don't want to be a journeyman or you don't want to be, you know, just somebody just getting through boxing.
It's interesting. No, it's just you say that it's hard to train and act, and now I know that Steve Bell was he had the last fight basically, his last the challenge at John Simpson's title. 2 days later, he started filming on Coronation Street.
Oh.
And he went in with a shiner. And the producers had been saying to him prior to that, you know, you're boxing at the weekend, you start work next week. He said, I don't get hit, don't worry about it.
That's what I used to say, but you know, you get a little knock
he
from
went in with a big
sparring.
shiner, so he caused makeup an awful problem. But of course it's worked for him, and you know, Steve's still doing a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say...
Acting, Dan?
Yeah. No, I actually had to do a bit of acting when I was a kid, There you go, you didn't expect that, did you? Did you, McGuinness? Yeah, I did. Nearly went to drama school. There's a whole untapped history here, but you're not getting it today. Save that one up.
Nick Quigley.
Nick Quigley. Wow.
What a fight that was.
That-
we had
flashbacks.
Darren Barker here last week, and,
Yeah.
and prior to going on air, we were talking about it, about
Yeah.
your fight, and he was just enthusing so much about it, saying
Yeah.
he was more or less calling this. The fight could have taken place there.
Right.
There.
I mean,
And
Darren Barker came to the changing room and he spoke to me before the fight, and he just said, no, you got 10 rounds, take your time, and I took his advice, and we train hard for the fight. We prepare. I saw Nick Quigley. He's a good fighter. I take my hat off to him. He came out. I mean, he's got the reach and the height advantage, and I thought he's gonna use his jab, And also I knew that he could come and fight because I saw him at the Price fight, and when he fought Dimitro, his fight before he fought me. So, the way I train with great trainer Brian Lawrence, we just prepare for unexpected. So when the first round came, obviously I was using my jab, and he just rushed me, and I was just I'm in a fight, So it was good. It was good fight, and it took two to have a great fight.
When I was speaking to Eric before we came on air, but I used to watch him as an amateur for Haringey in semi-finals of the ABAs. He dropped a guy called Ahmed Patterson, who's a pro now.
Yeah.
And but Patterson, unfortunately for Eric, got up and outpointed him, just edged him, but ended up pulling out, and Eric ended up in the final, had another war in the final, I seem to remember. But his style's just changed completely. I was saying to him, he was a brawler and a big hooker and a big puncher even then. But now there's so much more slickness and bobbing and weaving on the ropes, and that's come, I guess, from Brian Lawrence, maybe a bit from Ian Napper as well.
As I say, Brian Lawrence, he's one of the best coach in the business, and also I've been watching Ian Napper, very great
you would have thought it was him in the ring with all this.
Because I remember first time I saw Ian Napper, it was when I was an amateur. They came out the amateur boxing gym, and I saw Ian Napper on the ropes, and I was like, wow, I like the guy's style, man. And obviously that's how I got to know Brian, because I used to spar with his pro Anthony Smalls, very good fighter, Ben Murphy, and that's what got to know Brian. And yes, my style has changed. They used to know me as Reckless Eric, but obviously now I'm the Eagle, more smarter, because professional is more here in the mind, is calculate, and is a thinking sport. It's not rushing, because you got more rounds. It's not 3 minutes free. Now you got 12 rounds, 10 rounds. It's more rounds, and that suit me much better. Even though someone's told me, you have a knockout. What I'm saying, I need to see a knockout. Because amateur, that's why I had 70 fights. I won 55, 22 wins by KOs. And so, I'm still a puncher, still I can punch, but with Brian Lawrence, I'm focused more on skills and, smart boxing.
Knockouts will come.
Definitely. It's that, without doubt, and I just box smartly, take my time, break my opponent down, as I did with Quigley, because after second round, Brian said, slow down your pace, don't fight at his pace, because there's no way you can keep up that pace for 10 rounds. So I listened to the corner, and I start, hitting Quigley on the body, and it showed the signs that, I was hitting him on the body, and I knew sooner or later I'll break him down, then knock him out. And his dad did the right thing for in the towel. And I thank God for the victory.
Yeah.
Eric, you probably don't remember this, but the first time I met you was actually at the Peacock Gym when Floyd Mayweather came over to the public workout.
Right.
And you were there with Brian Lawrence and Darren Sutherland.
Right.
Now, sadly, obviously, Darren passed away not long after that, maybe 3 or 4 months after.
Yeah.
Were you guys close? Do you still think about him, and what are your memories of him?
Yeah, that flashed in my mind, because Darren Sutherland was a nice person, warm person. He was generous, and it was a shock, it was a surprise to everyone in the camp, because I believe I fought on Friday or Saturday that I had my fight. He was there ringside, and he was smiling, and actually Monday morning we got the news that he committed suicide, and you don't know what's going through people's mind. And that was quite surprising to us, especially me, because I used to see him, day in and day out in the gym.
It was the Fury-McDermott fight, wasn't it? That was the headline?
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah.
Our other friend, Ashley Sexton, was fighting that night, and then they introduced Darren on the side. Then he got up and he said hi, and I went and spoke to him on the Friday, and then literally the Monday after, it was the news, basically. You know, it was very sad. But I'll tell you a quick story about Darren. We were in the Olympic qualifiers in Italy, Pescara, and oh, actually no, this was Italy, and this was about we saw him fight Azerbaijan, and he absolutely annihilated this guy. It was unbelievable. We were fans straight away, you know, as a boxer as well, and we went to his hut about 12 o'clock at night, 1 in the morning, and we didn't realise, you know, obviously he'll be sleeping, but my mate really wanted his autograph. we knocked on the door, and we got him out of bed, and he said, yeah, no problem, took a picture and everything, which that's the kind of guy he was, just a really genuine, nice guy, you know, and he's very missed, you know, very missed.
Yep, well, but more chats as well about all things. Coming up, we're going to be hearing from Billy Nelson as well. We're going to be talking a little bit more in depth with yourself as well, The Flash.
Okay. Thank you.
This is, of course, The Fight Show on Sports Tonight Live. Welcome back. It is The Fight Show right here on Sports Tonight Live. All your boxing requirements are fulfilled right here. But we've been hearing plenty from Eric, of course, and about the Quigley fight and progression and everything else. But Chris, what's on the agenda for yourself? Unbeaten, 9 fights?
Yeah, thank God. You know, still undefeated. I want to get my next fight scheduled for in March. It's just been penciled in now. They're just getting that underway. I'll know in the next couple of days. And then looking for my first title sort of in the next 2-3 months from now. So just getting ready for that, preparing for a 10-rounder and seeing who's in front of me that I'm going to gun down. So, yeah.
Is there someone particular you want to fight or a particular title you're aiming for?
I just want to get my name out there, just get my small domestic title. You know, I've got a lot of fans and they're really eager to see me holding a belt up. You know, we've requested for, you know, I'll say his name, you know, Darren Hamilton. He's someone where, you know, somewhere close to me in the rankings, and it'll be a good fight. You know, he's a nice guy, and I think he'll take the fight, you know, if we request it. So that'll be a good one on the agenda. Sell a lot of tickets.
It's a good lively division like welter anyway,
yeah.
isn't it?
Oh, very. Very. A bit too much, but very. Yeah.
I mean, you're well placed to talk about prize fighter, obviously, at the weekend, because that's in your division. Were you ever offered that? Just out of interest?
To be honest, I think I just have to say the word, and I think, you know, we've got that good relationship with the promoters and the tickets to be sold. I think all I have to do is say, yeah, I want to be on it. But at the moment, I don't think it's on my agenda right now. I don't think I need to have the prize fighter. It's a fantastic show, very good for the spectators, but just for me, myself in my position, I don't think it's very good for me right now to do something like that.
Actually, you know, I was offered to fight to enter the prize fight, the last prize fight, light middleweight, and obviously I would turn it down because I was scheduled to fight Brian Rose for the English title because he was the English champion at that moment. But obviously everything was scheduled, and obviously he got offered to fight for the British, so he went for the British, you know, which is the British champion. So I'm saying, yeah. So I mean, for you, will be if you got a title lineup. I mean, that'll be the best thing to do to go for the title because the prize fight is a flick of a coin, you know.
Yeah.
Well, one fella that won't be in prize fighter is Ricky Burns. This is a not very neat segue, but we do have Billy Nelson on the line, and delighted that he can join us as well. Of course, there is a bit of interest this weekend, I'm sure, from the Burns camp, Billy, about Kevin Mitchell returning to the ring on Friday night. Is it something that you'll be sitting in front of watching, see how he gets on?
Yeah, I'll be watching Kevin tomorrow evening. Kevin's an exciting fighter, so I'd watch him anyway, irrespective if he's a future opponent of Ricky's or not.
I mean, Billy, with Kevin being from Dagenham and you not that far away yourself in Southend, where you grew up, is there a bit of a, you know, split loyalties there?
No split loyalties at all. No, I came up to Scotland when I was a very young boy with my mother. Although my brother still stayed down south end in Essex. But there'll be no split loyalties whatsoever, I can assure you.
And how's the champ doing, Bill?
He's been sparring for about 3 to 4 weeks now, and he's coming along great. It's hard to believe it. He's improved again after this fight, and I actually think there's quite a bit of improvement still in him. And we're really looking forward to this tough challenge against Paulus Moses, and then we'll take it from there.
Do you worry, Billy, that some people, you know, don't know a great deal about boxing, are underrating Moses, not realising his history and some of the guys he's beaten, and also where he's beaten him, you know, going abroad for the big wins?
Listen, let me tell you something. If a boxer can go to Japan, irrespective of what people think of his opponent, and go and win a world title, you're a good fighter. His record is 28-1. Granted, there's not a lot of names on it that we know, because a lot of names, you know, are Africans and not familiar with the British scene. But to have a record of 28-1 with 19 knockouts, yeah, if he was British, he'd be well known, and he's an ex-world champion. But I'm very, very confident that Ricky will take care of him on 10th of March.
We were talking about domestic fights and the hype that surrounds them a bit earlier with the Fury-Price breakdown. Do you get agitated a little bit by all the talk of you've got to fight Mitchell, you've got to fight Murray, Crawler, whatever? I mean, does it bother you? Do you just want to get on with progressing Ricky's career, however that might be, you know, fighting the likes of Moses?
Of course we do. We know Moses, there'll be no Mitchell fight if we don't beat or Corolla fight or Murray fights. We're actually looking for bigger fights than them anyway. Once we beat Wallace Moses, you know, I feel personally Mitchell's obviously the best at a lot of them in Britain, but ideally Ricky would like to go for the world scene, another champion. But if we've got to fight Kevin Mitchell, we'll take care of Kevin Mitchell. Kevin Mitchell knows we'll take care of Kevin Mitchell, and we'll just move on from there.
Ricky's obviously not your only fighter. You've got Paul Appleby. It's just been announced he's going to likely to be fighting Stephen Ormond. But you've also got John Simpson. Is it right he's moving down to super bantamweight?
Yep, that's the plan for John Simpson. He's just going to have a wee break just now, and then we'll hopefully have him ready for about May time, May, June.
That's quickly becoming the most exciting division in the domestic game, super bantam. Where do you see him fitting in?
Well, John's already had some fantastic spars with Cal Frampton. And to be fair to Cal Frampton, he's improved every time he's come up here, and somebody Barry McGuinness to be very proud of. And Scott Quigg also, he's a cracking wee fighter. But I'd put John Simpson in with the two of them in a heartbeat.
He's had some great battles already. He's proved that he can go into someone's backyard as well, hasn't he, John? I mean, he's a cracking fighter. He's obviously got the right temperament. And this move, do you think, will just inspire him that little bit more now?
Well, the thing that's glaringly noticeable is to see when we stand in the ring, after the 24-hour wear, each and every opponent is generally bigger than John. And Lee Selby was considerably bigger than him. Stephen Smith was big, and in my opinion, we beat Stephen twice, but never got a decision. We moved on. But Lee Selby was massive. It was like when Scott Harrison fought at featherweight. See, when he stood in our corner and looked at the other guy, he just looked like a wee person compared to a grown man. But with John going down to super bantamweight, I think he'll be a lot. Obviously, I mean, he'll never lose his strength, but he'll know maybe as intimidated with the bigger guy in front of him.
Billy, you mentioned Scott Harrison just then. Obviously, you don't train him, but you've got the buzz up there in Scotland. What's the latest on him from what you've heard?
I've not heard anything. I've trained Scott for his whole career with his father, from day one to his last fight. But I've not heard anything, to be quite honest with you.
Well, Billy, thank you.
I focus more on my own boxes than any others.
Well, good luck with that as well, and obviously with Ricky and everything that goes on. And of course, we will get excited once Ricky has taken care of Moses about the Mitchell fight, should Mitchell do the business. But all the best with preparations, and thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks very much. All the best.
Interesting, you point out that could be a much trickier fight than many people, are predicting. But obviously, Billy expects that.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone who's kind of in the trade or an avid watcher of boxing would know that Moses comes with a great reputation. Like Billy said, he's won his title, WBA title out there in Japan against Kabori. Great win for him. And since then, he's only lost once, which was losing that belt. So he's only lost in a world title fight. He's probably beaten better people than Ricky Burns has. So, if this fight was taking place in, Africa or even in America, he might be the favourite. So, Burns on a great run of form and he's improving with every fight. But this is a real threat, and probably the toughest threat he's faced so far as champion.
Well, more chats about that, and obviously with Chris and Eric straight after this. But this is The Fight Show right here on Sports Tonight Live. Welcome back. This is The Fight Show here on Sports Tonight Live. And while we were just having a little break, someone was busy running around. And you got a nice little belt to show us there, Eric, for your endeavours against Nick Quigley. So just hold that up for us. Is that the finest piece of kit you've won in your boxing career as yet?
Yeah, this is just is one of many. You know, as my aim is to become world champion. So yeah, this is one of many. So yeah, this was when I fought Nick Quigley. That was fight of the night, as they say, the fast forerunner for fight of the year.
And what's on the agenda now? It's Brian Rose.
You know what? I would let my manager and my promoter, I'm saying,
Get out.
deal with it. You know what I'm saying? I now focus on, training hard, becoming the best I could be, and beating whoever they put in front of me.
But are there certain titles, obviously you want to win a world title, as you've said, but are there certain titles you want to win on the way? Are there things you dreamed about as a kid? And if so, what are they? Are they British? Is it European?
Definitely, that's the road we're going to take. We're going to take the British, which will be, 2 more fights or 2 more fights down the road. And we're going to go for the Commonwealth, the European, and then, the world title.
That'll be some big fights.
Have you got targets like that? I mean, we know about your fight coming up, but have you kind of set a limit on what you want to achieve and when?
Well, you tend to do that. I mean, this is my life, so yeah, I always set my certain goals in my life. But what I've realised in boxing is it's so unpredictable. They could call me up tomorrow and say, Chris, there's a British title fight, do you want it? And if I'm in a position that I'll take it, I'll take it. So it's very unpredictable, but there are guidelines I give myself and goals and dreams that I want to achieve. And the stepping stones are domestic level British, Commonwealth titles, a European title, which is the bridge between British and the world. That is the one right in the middle. So yeah, that's the sort of avenue we want to go for.
So if Ricky Hatton did phone you up tomorrow and said, I'm coming out of retirement, and offered you a fight with his man, Ashley Fairfain, who's the British champion, for your next fight, would you have your kind of wise head on and say, well, maybe not quite, I need to get more rounds under my belt, or would you jump at the chance? If it was
my emotional side would be, yes, let's book the fight, let's do it. But my rational side would be, let's get a 10-rounder, let's get that under the belt, and then we'll take it. You have to be clever, you have to be smart. The Spartans, those 300, they never fought in open field. They were smart. They fought like in an alleyway. That's what you need to be as a boxer. You need to be smart. You need to fight smart in the ring. You need to fight smart out the ring. So, yeah.
There's a nice little sibling situation with you and your brother as well, boxing. So
yeah.
Inevitably, I mean, we've got boxing brothers all over the place. And, there's the Murrays, obviously, and the Hattons, and yourself.
Yeah. Klitschko's.
The Klitschko. Yeah.
I was going to say Mitchells. It just shows what planes you're operating.
Yeah. So you work together with your brother.
Yeah.
And how's it all? How's the dynamic with you two, sparring and everything else?
It's got its pros and cons. I mean, we live together, so we're dieting together. We're waking up 5:30 in the morning together, and to be honest, there are a lot more arguments than I would like. But we are brothers. But I'll be honest with you, we help each other. When one of us is a bit down and needs to talk or needs to just get out of bed or just have some motivation for the day, the other one is there for them. Before a fight, my brother and me are very positive people, but I'm sure Eric will vouch for this. Before a fight, you're so nervous or are anxious, or there's something, you always have that doubt creeping in. And thank God I got my brother and my father, who's my manager, to just talk to me before the fight and big me up and give me that that motivation, that little sentence that would just spark me off. My dad always sends me little texts before the fight, like famous quotes. And my favourite was, they will not say that Greeks fight like heroes, but heroes fight like Greeks. And I had that in the ABAs. And as soon as I got that text, I felt so alive. I felt like, right, let's get this fight underway.
I mean, I guess because you were saying before, your dad's a minister, isn't he?
Yeah, he is a minister.
So I guess he must be kind of accustomed to inspiring people, so that must help you as well.
My dad can speak for, you know, if he was American, he'd be president. I'll tell you, that's how good he can speak, and he's very inspirational. You know, if I'm having a bit of a bad night, I can call him up, and whatever time or day or night it is, he will pick up and he will speak to me. And being a minister, he's very knowledgeable, and he knows how to talk. You know, people can talk. People, you know, everyone knows the English, but people don't always know what to say. My dad's very good at selecting what to say.
You were saying about your brother, how you get up together, you train together.
Yeah.
Key question though.
Yeah.
Do you spar each other?
In a short word, no, we don't. He's light heavyweight, I'm light welterweight, so the dynamics is a bit hard there, but we don't spar for a reason. You know, there will be comparisons made, there will be people judging us as boxers, and we kind of don't feed the fire. You know, if we do spar, the whole gym will stop and watch and lock the doors because they want to see us spar.
John Murray would say Joe Murray's the better boxer. Do you two have that kind of question posed?
Well, I've been in the game a lot longer. You know, I was there from amateurs. My brother's only had 11 amateur fights, and he's doing so well as a pro, and he's had 4 pros now. He fought last week as well on the same bill that Eric was on. You know, I had 40 amateur fights. I was international for Cyprus. I travelled the world. So I've got more of the pedigree in that sense as well. But my brother's always had this raw talent, and he's got this clubber in right hand. And, you know, he's done so well in the short space of time he's been. And he's my older brother, actually, as well. So, you know, it's actually worked better that he's heavier because, you know, the heavier you are, the sort of more time you have as a boxer. But I don't would say who's better or worse. You know, we have our attributes and strengths, and, you know, I'm faster, he's stronger. So there's that thunder and lightning.
And presumably, you've got a big backing with the Cypriot community in North London as well.
You know, thank God I was born Greek, I tell you, because they can be the best fans in the world. You know, Alexandra Palace on my third fight, it was a 4-rounder. I sold nearly 1,000 tickets. And that was, you know, I do live around the corner from there, and to sell 1,000 tickets for any promoter or anything is very valuable, very valuable. And
comparisons with Ricky weren't that silly.
Well, yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously Ricky was a phenomenal ticket seller in your division. But again, it's interesting when you talk about that again, and you touched on it before, Eric, about the pressure of selling tickets.
Yes.
And again, you know, people don't really understand that, do they? A lot of fight fans probably don't appreciate. You know, you have to shift those tickets.
Yeah,
that's right.
You know, it doesn't matter how good you are. Isn't that right, Eric? Sometimes it's getting bums on seats, and because this is a business, you're getting paid for this sport. As an amateur, you want to come to my fight? Yeah, come. Just, you know, it's a tenner. Come whenever. You don't really mind. You prefer them not to come. But now you've got to get them. It's catch-22. You have to get them on the seats, but the more people there are there, the more pressure there is.
It's a problem.
I mean, for me, it's obviously, it's a business, as Chris was saying. You gotta sell tickets, and I think that was one of the cause of reason why I lost my fight, because I said against Luke Robinson, because I let that get to me, because it's your call, Bethnal Green, you know, my backyard, so I wanted everyone to come, and it's just that pressure. It's a lot of pressure. But however, I mean, the more people are there, you know, the better I perform, because, you know,
you rise to the occasion.
That's why it just helped me, you know, it helped me shine and show, you know, the best I am. You know, so it's a challenge, but yeah, a pleasure.
You mentioned York Hall, Bethnal Green. There is a fight taking place.
Several fights.
There is indeed, but the headline act would be a certain Kevin Mitchell and Felix Laura, and we're going to get your predictions. You did okay last week. You did pretty well.
Nailed on, yeah.
Well, actually,
on a bit of a roll now.
The Scott Quigg, Jamie Arthur fight, and firstly, right stoppage.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I'd say the referee was in a difficult position. He had to make a split-second judgment, turned his back, coming in with another big right hand. I think it was fair enough.
Yeah.
I think the referee did what's right. I think that was the right thing to do at that time. Yeah.
The referee's got a lot of pressure on him as well. You've got, you know, he's got to control a fight. Sometimes decisions have to be made, you know, from what they're seeing. They're the ones in the ring right next to the boxers, no one else. So people can look at it and say, oh, was it too quick? Or they're the ones in the ring. They're the ones talking to the boxers. You have to remember that.
It's the old saying, isn't it? Better too early than too late.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I think there was one winner in that fight, regardless of the stoppage being right or wrong at that time. And the way he turned, it just didn't look quite right.
And he didn't complain either. That's notable. His corner did, but he didn't.
I mean, I think it's better for him to be pulled out now and fight later. You know,
live to fight another day.
live for another day.
You know, that referee should have been doing Macaronelli's fights a few more times.
Oh, Jesus,
I think, you know, but it's another story.
Yeah, we do a whole other show with that one.
Well, Friday night, York Hall, Mitchell, Laura, anybody going
You're not even challenging
for
us now.
the Dominican, based in Spain? Nobody fancies an upset there?
Sure anyone even knows his name? I think no.
I'll say Mitchell, because obviously we train at TKO, Canning Town, and Mitchell looks in shape, he looks confident, and he's a great boxer.
Mentally, is he on the money?
Yeah, mentally he's on the ball. You know, my mind's in the bank, but he's going to be winning.
Yeah, Mitchell.
Mitchell all the way, Mitchell all
I
the
don't
way.
even need to train alongside him.
Well, actually, I think, no, I'm joking.
Frank Buglione's on the bill as well. Was this fight number 3, I think, for Frank?
Yes.
He's been in the studio. Do you know, are you aware of Frank Buglione,
Buglione.
who's middleweight?
I heard the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, a good
His
unique
third
name.
fight,
yeah. I think he'll take care of Ryan Clark. And there's the pro debut, Bradley Saunders.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting
Yeah.
one because he didn't have the most kind of naturally pro style as an amateur, and he left it quite late as well to turn pro. He's an amateur for a long time, so it's going to be kind of hard to shed his amateur style and all the old habits he's got. But you know, he's up there and he's been doing some great stuff. Apparently, he's been sparring Evangelou, for example, who's in Prize Fighter on Saturday. So he's been getting the right kind of pro sparring ahead of his debut. So it should be interesting to see his story unfold.
He's the last batch of that Olympic Beijing
GB
generation,
team.
isn't he?
Yeah.
And
But
Joe Murray obviously fought the weekend, and he got a bit of stick for his performance, didn't he? But
I think it's good though in a way that he's left it a few years after his contemporaries to turn pro, because he won't be under the same spotlight as they were. There'll be a whole new batch of Olympians turning pro towards the end of the year, so Saunders can kind of make his way out of the spotlight, which I think Murray's done as well, and I think that's been
Behind the scenes a little bit, you know. Again, talk about pressure. It's a big, you know, it can change a fight, you know. Under that pressure, can you perform? And I think to be turning pro now and not with the other Olympians is actually going to work in his favour, I believe.
moving on to Saturday, prize fighter. We've spoken about it earlier, and you know there's some good names there. Young Motley and Adil Anwar, I think you fancy. John Watson, who I suppose many will just think back to the Anthony Crolla fight. It's an opportunity, I suppose, but it's a double-edged sword, really, prize fighter, isn't it, for some of these guys, in terms of great chance, nice bit of money.
Even if you go out in the first round, it's more money than you learn for a 4-rounder on nearly every bill in the country. So in that sense, it's a great thing to do. But I don't know, you mentioned Muttley. Muttley's a good name, but that's all these days, I think.
Been in it before, of course.
Yeah, and didn't progress further then, even at what was
in it a welterweight, wasn't he?
Yeah,
yeah.
I think he only got to the semis, and that was then. So he's not going to have got any better at this age, is he? So I wouldn't be going for him. I wouldn't bet my house on him.
Yeah. Who are you betting your house on?
I'm not betting my house on anyone because I don't own it yet, and the bank might not appreciate it. But I'd go for Adil Anwar. He's just got the right sort of style for it. He's awkward. He sets a good pace. He's busy. You know, I just think that's the sort of fight that tends to do well in prize fighting.
He brought him his very own version of that as well. So he's a talented lad. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. I think if you see the history of prize fighter, it's the ones that are quite awkward and take longer to work out because it's only 3 rounds, you know. And I'm a victim of that as well. I take a bit of time to work my opponent out, but when I do, I've got them. But it is that 3 rounds. You have to do it then and there.
I mean, yeah, prize fight is a sprint. So and as I say, it's a flick of a coin. So it's whoever's gonna want it more and just quick punches and be quick on the feet. There's a lot involved. So the best men win.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you two gents in the
Yeah,
studio this evening.
Yeah,
Great
it's a
chat,
pleasure.
fantastic.
Yeah, I would like to take this opportunity just to thank my sponsors. I would like to thank King Apiro. He's one of the UK brands. They're my sponsor. Thank you, Paul. I want to thank BoxFit. Ken, I want to give thanks to Addison Lee, they're my sponsor, and also Glenn Insurance, great sponsors.
Thank you very much, Eric. Thank you very much indeed. And thanks.
You see my sponsors that covered on them.
I'd like to thank Top Man.
Of course, I want to thank Spot Tonight for this great opportunity.
That's more like
to
it.
be here. You know what I'm saying?
And Don McGuinness and Danny
Don McGuinness, Dan Flexen.
We'll let you the rest out, don't worry.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I want to thank everyone. It's a pleasure, you know.
Well, best of luck to you both in your respective career paths. I'm sure you're going to do very well, and you're welcome back anytime.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And Danny, of course. Thank you.
This is I was going to get a mention. Cheers, lads.
The final show with Eric, with Chris, with Danny, and me, Don McGuinness, right here on Sports Tonight Live.
Stay ahead of the game with Sports Tonight Live. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Search for Sports Tonight Live on Facebook and like our fan page. Follow Sports Tonight TV on Twitter and tweet us your thoughts and opinions. Sports Tonight Live, it's the platform for the fans.